Call to order. Welcome, everybody. This is the Village of Pinehurst Council's regular meeting of July 22nd, 2025. We are now called to order, and we'll begin, as we traditionally do, with an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. I know we have a member of our staff keeps all the trains running on time when it comes to our information technology system. So I'm going to ask Jason Whitaker to please come forward and provide the invocation. Thank you, Jason.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer this afternoon, and we're so thankful for your many blessings upon us and this village. We thank you for the opportunity to live and work here in such a blessed community, and we thank you for all the care and passion that is put forth by those that admire and support this place. And as council meets today, Lord, we pray that you'll give them wisdom and guidance as they discuss village business and the future of this wonderful place. And we pray that you be with them as they work through each agenda item, Lord. We love you and we thank you. And we just ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll go on to item 3 on the agenda, which are reports. First from the village manager and then from the council. Village manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, we have a Live After 5 coming up on August 8th at 5:15 in the Arboretum here. Irresistible Groove takes the stage at 6 p.m. And it's not talking about Barb's dance moves. This is the name of the band. Shakespeare in the Pines was originally scheduled to be in the downtown Tufts Park this August. However, due to some family issues with the organizer, that is not going to happen this summer, so just kind of wanted to get that out there so people are aware. A few updates on projects we have going on. Downtown parking, the poles have been installed the last few days. They're going to be finishing that up in the next day or so. So as soon as those are up, we'll be able to start enforcing the 3-hour parking time limit downtown. So that's been a couple-month process, so we're getting that going. And then the other item that has also been a little bit of a thorn in everyone's side is the project on Chickapin and Magnolia. The contractors have been out there, and they have started the stormwater work on Magnolia. So they started down at the intersection with Dogwood, and they'll be working their way up towards the center of town. So we hope that project starts moving forward a little more quickly. And I think we're on a good pace as well, and we hope to keep everyone informed as soon as we get updated information from the contractor. And then this might be our best attended meeting in a long time. I thought, are we talking about the traffic circle or something? So appreciate everyone being here, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of items. Excuse me. One, to those of you who don't get a chance to attend meetings like the Planning and Zoning Board and the Board of Adjustment, I encourage you to view on the website an excellent Board of Adjustment meeting that took place about a week ago on it was about July 10th, and it's gives some real insight into how a variance proposal is reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Board, and how they are fulfilling their job to look out for the residents of Pinehurst. So I encourage that. Secondly, I think you know that the village is undergoing a process of selecting a new village attorney, and sometime in the near future, there'll be an appropriate announcement. The process is continuing. And lastly, I know we're going to talk a little bit about the U.S. Kids Golf World Championships coming up. But I just want to remind everybody what a big thing that is for our community and the impact it has here. And I ask all of you who can to help participate or just enjoy the parade or maybe volunteer and go out and pitch in at the golf courses. That's all I have, and I'll turn to Dr. Morgan.
Thank you. I represent the village on the Central Pines Regional Council. The next meeting will be on August 27th. They have not had meetings during the summertime here. They have been involved in reaction to a lot of the flooding we had in the central area with the rains here, which leads to follow on here. Many of you have probably noticed that Sugar Gum Lane is now open, and thank you to the involvement of our staff for the village, as they've been involved in that to get that going. It was a lot of damage, and they have reacted under that to get it back up to speed as quickly as possible. No pun intended on the speed. So, last thing on there is today is National Hammock Day. So, well, I have not had any chance to get in a hammock, but hopefully some of you have, and if you haven't, then hopefully this weekend. But National Hammock Day too. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Mr. Taylor.
Doug, I just had one question on the construction. I noticed yesterday they were working on the corner in front of the Magnolia Inn, redoing the brick walkways and so forth. And that's going to be the location, I believe, of a stop sign as that becomes a four-way intersection. Do you know whether they got that in yesterday or whether they were going to get that in today? I think that's one of the more important changes for that intersection.
Yeah, the actual stop sign, you mean?
Yeah.
No, that has not gone in yet. And when it does, we plan on putting up some signage, because that will be a big change of habits for people. So we want to make sure that they're aware of that and don't blow right through it.
I think that will be much appreciated by the merchants along and pedestrians along Chinkopin there. That's all for me, nothing else.
Councilman Ficklin.
Just a quick update on the PDO focus group. We were scheduled to meet on July 16th. That has been postponed to July 30th, which is this coming week. And we will be back on schedule the following week with our August meeting on August 6th, and hopefully be on schedule from that point forward.
Councilman Farrell.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. Attended the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee where a number of things were discussed. One was to review the number 6 sidewalk construction project, and that seems to be coming along quite well, as a matter of fact. Second thing was to review and approve the multimodal plan, and I believe I won't have to dwell on that because we're going to be discussing that later. Is that correct? Okay. And also a review of the status of the carbon reduction funding grant application to the SMPO, and I have to admit I don't know exactly a lot about that, but that was reviewed. So another item I wanted to talk about was the Fort Bragg Regional Land Use Advisory Commission. We held the Board of Directors meeting a couple weeks ago, and I just thought I'd report on some items. The second quarter land use reviews was 117 cases, 13 responses, and only one that needed a modification. That was a development that was going right next to Fort Bragg, as a matter of fact, and the variance was needed for a second emergency access to the development through Bragg, as a matter of fact. The other thing that probably more important is that, if you'll recall, a letter was written by the Advisory Commission to the Secretary, North Carolina Secretary of Military Affairs and Veterans Affairs, discussing the issues related to new legislation that was coming forward that may impact Fort Bragg and its mission and land use issues. And that was presented to the Secretary of Military and Veteran Affairs, and they plan to have a meeting with the full commission the end of August. I would also point out that there's a general meeting scheduled on August 22nd. And as in fact, I believe you're invited, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And a number of mayors and other elected officials, including legislative members, should be attending that. It should be a good session. It'll be on Bragg, so that should be very informative. I hope you're able to attend that.
I'm planning to. Thank you.
The last thing I wanted to mention was that I had a long discussion with the North Carolina Historic Preservation Office relative to the harness track and the 1 mile track. If you remember, we discussed this briefly a few months ago. And this was in relation to potentially getting the 1 mile track designated as a national historic location. And it turns out that they advised me that the best way to go about this, and I've started on the study process, would be potentially extend the current designation for the racetrack such that it is on the Register of Historic Places, and we can extend that boundary possibly. But to do so, I've got to do a lot of work as far as getting the study application together. And the next meeting of that group is somewhere in the middle of August. Hopefully I can make that schedule. If not, it'll have to wait for a couple months. So bear with me on that one, please. The one thing I wanted to point out that a designation as either being on the National Register of Historic Places or being in the landmark does not necessarily provide any protection to the property. The best protection, and this was pointed out to me, the best protection for the property is the fact that the 1 mile track is included in our local historic district. And our local historic district, of course, any changes within the local historic district have to go through the Historic Preservation Commission for a certificate of appropriateness. So the other designations are more honorary, but we have more teeth, if you will, in our local historic district. So just thought I'd point that out. So we'll be hearing more about that in the future. Thank you.
Thanks for that update, and particularly about the harness track. Okay, we'll now go on to item 4. This is a motion to approve the consent agenda. All items that are listed below are considered routine or have been discussed at length in previous meetings and will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion will be held unless requested by a member of the village council. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to remove item 4.A.1, July 8, 2025, regular meeting minutes from the consent agenda and place it on the agenda before item 12, other business, for further deliberation and to approve all other items listed and considered routine on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
The motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed. And now we will move on to, that's the end of the consent agenda, because we approved the other specific work session minutes, the closed session minutes, special meeting minutes, and the closed session minutes of the 15th. And so now we will go on to the resolutions for resolutions of appreciation. And I'm going to, I think we'll handle this since we have a lot to be appreciative about. So I'll ask the Mayor Pro Tem to maybe make that resolution, and then we'll go down for the ceremonial efforts.
Sure, and we will be dealing with each of these individually, but for these purposes, I move to approve Resolution 25-31, Appreciation to U.S. Kids Golf in recognition of 20 years of partnership with the Village of Pinehurst. Resolution 25-32, Appreciation to Public Services Department in recognition of outstanding service to the community. And Resolution 25-33, Appreciation to the Pinehurst Fire Department in recognition of outstanding service to the community.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
One comment, if I might.
Comment.
And it's really just not because I have any problem with the appreciation to the Pinehurst Fire Department, but I think it should be pointed out that in addition to the names of people who are specifically mentioned who were on duty that day, there were a number who came in who were not on duty. And you kind of expect people who are in that line of work, if you're on duty, you go do what you have to do. But it's greatly appreciated that other people came in. It was an extraordinary circumstance, and they did extraordinary work.
Yeah, holiday weekend as well, so.
And a holiday weekend, so.
All right. Thank you for mentioning that. Therefore, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion adopted. Now we'll go down and this is the largest ceremony we've ever had here that I can remember. But we'll begin with the resolution of appreciation to U.S. Kids Golf in recognition of 20 years of partnership with the Village of Pinehurst. So let me read this, and then I'm going to call up Dan and some others to acknowledge, shall we say. Whereas U.S. Kids Golf has hosted its World Championship in the Village of Pinehurst for the past 20 years, drawing junior golfers and their families from across the United States and around the globe. And whereas during that time, U.S. Kids Golf has contributed significantly to the vibrancy and international recognition of Pinehurst as a premier destination for youth and family golf. And whereas the U.S. Kids Golf World Championship has become the largest junior golf tournament in the world, hosting thousands of participants and guests each year with over 5,000 visitors annually. And whereas the economic impact of U.S. Kids Golf events over the past 2 decades is estimated at over $175 million, making it one of the most economically impactful recurring events in the village, second only to the U.S. Open. Whereas U.S. Kids Golf has partnered closely with the village, the Pinehurst community, and local organizations to deliver a high-quality, family-focused tournament experience that aligns with the values and hospitality of Pinehurst, and whereas the presence of U.S. Kids Golf has fostered international goodwill, promoted youth sports, and enhanced the visibility of Pinehurst as a global golfing destination. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Pinehurst, North Carolina, in its regular meeting of the 22nd of July, 2025, as follows. 1, that the Village of Pinehurst hereby extends its deepest appreciation to U.S. Kids Golf for 20 years of excellence, commitment, and partnership with our community. Section 2, that the village honors the organization's leadership, staff, and volunteers for their ongoing dedication to promoting youth golf and for choosing Pinehurst as the home of their flagship championship. And that a copy of this resolution is presented to Mr. Dan Van Horn, founder and president of U.S. Kids Golf, as a token of our gratitude and support. Dan, please come forward.
Thank you. 20 years has been an unbelievable thing, and I just wanted to take the time to tell you how much we appreciate the village of Pinehurst. As a matter of fact, we appreciate it so much that we made our foundation a home here. And for many of us, we've bought the Longleaf Golf and Family Club and made that our home. And we're using all of that to develop youth golf throughout the world. So what I've brought with me today is a couple of people who've been impacted by what we do from around the world, just to give you some scope of the reach that this tournament has had and the village is to people around the world. If I could, I'd like to first introduce Raj Sharmanastava. He's from India. And secondly, I'd like to mention and introduce Lola Giertz from Italy and also South Africa. And then finally, I'd like to introduce my wife, Jennifer, and Chris Vonderkaal, who leads us here. And then finally, I just want all of you to know that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the work of Peter Stillwell. 22 years ago, I believe, Peter said, I think what you're doing sounds right, and the village will help you. And so he reached out to us. He saw what we were doing. He brought us into the community, and he's been working with us for many years. So big hand goes to Peter Stillwell. Appreciate it.
You want to say? Come on, please up. Please come on up.
Good evening, Mayor, Council Member, Dan Van Horn, and distinguished. First of all, I would like really to thank Mr. Dan Van Horn, like how to bring Asia to US. When I met him for first time in 2017 in Scotland, he has a passion how the kids in Asia from very early age can come to United States. And we started interacting and discussing, and in last 5 years, we have seen that in Asia, we are operating almost in 9 countries. And the kids back in Asia, in Thailand, China, India, wherever we go, for the dream is to come to Pinehurst to play World Championship, and Pinehurst has become like their dreamland. So every time when we conduct tournament, every players fighting on the golf courses in these countries from Vietnam, Uzbekistan, India, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, everybody asks one question, how we can reach Pinehurst, how it looks, how are the people. So it gives me a great satisfaction as a brand ambassador of Pinehurst in my continent, telling them how great is Pinehurst and how great people are. And thank you, Dan, for believing in us, and nothing more to say. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. Thank you, Dan, for having me, wanting me to come here today, because I've seen this tournament, this event, from day one. I've been here on the other side as a mother, caddy, with my young son, and, you know, I've seen this whole event growing, and now I have the honor to develop US Kids Golf abroad. And as Raj say, the kids are working very hard to qualify and come to Pinehurst. My son, who is now 31 years old, is still playing golf. He's a professional golfer. And in his heart, still now, it's the, remembering Pinehurst as a community, the golf course, the people, the volunteers. So now I'm on the other side, on the organization, and I always keep this in mind, how Dan brought everybody together and the impact it has on families, along with the community, because the community of Pinehurst is really fantastic, very special. It became my second home because I come here and since 20 years now, I think from the first year. So I belong to Pinehurst, and thank you to all of you for growing this event together. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Van Horn, am I going to get you up here? Yes. Oh, of course, of course.
All I just have to say is it's nice to, haven't met you all personally, but it's nice to meet you. I'm Jennifer Van Horn. I'm married to this guy for 46 years. I wasn't sure if it was 47 already, but I'm only 45 years old, so I don't know how that works. But no, I'm grateful to him too, and what all we've done, and just hearing Lola and Raj speak, and it's just the impact that we have had worldwide is just, it's unfathomable. It's just wonderful. And the families and what they say and how blessed they are, and they're so happy to come, and they're so happy that we've done this, and so happy to be in Pinehurst, and so happy to travel to Scotland and to Italy and to India, and they meet children from all these other places all around the world. So what an advantage that is. I didn't even ride an airplane till I was a freshman in college. And these kids are traveling around the world to play golf and to make friends around the world and just become better people. And anyway, thank you, Dan.
Forward to the tournament. All right. Let us move on to the next resolution. This is a resolution of appreciation to the Public Services Department in recognition of the outstanding service to the community, particularly these past couple of weeks. Whereas the Public Services Department provides many essential services to the Village of Pinehurst community, such as managing waste, ensuring public safety, and maintaining infrastructure. And whereas on Sunday, July 6th, 2025, the Village of Pinehurst and surrounding areas experienced a once every 500 to 1,000 years rainfall event from Tropical Depression Chantel. And whereas this rainfall resulted in excessive stormwater runoff and localized flooding, which caused significant damage to areas of infrastructure within the village. And whereas the Public Services Department immediately began deploying crews throughout the village to begin repairing the damage and addressing threats to the public safety. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Pinehurst in a regular meeting on this 22nd day of July that the Village of Pinehurst recognizes the following public services employees for their exemplary service to the Village of Pinehurst community during this challenging time. Let me read these names. The director, of course, Mike Apke. The assistant public services director, Andy Dick. Engineering technician, David Johnson. Grounds maintenance supervisor, Damian Revels. Street maintenance supervisor, Nicholas Fortune. Grounds maintenance crew leader, Rodney Schroeder. Street maintenance crew leader, Michael Stansell. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Anthony Meggs. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Daniel Hernandez. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Jeremiah Rodriguez. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Philip Marion. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Mark Russo. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Samuel Tucker. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Jacob Bibby. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Brandon Harner. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Lenworth Hay. Streets and grounds maintenance worker, Zach Brewer. And administrative assistant, Alcy Bumgarner, who sends out all those emails. Thank you, Alcy. So this resolution is passed and adopted today. Congratulations to all of you, and
Yeah, we
How much
should.
coming up
Yeah,
here?
we should have Nick, Damian, Andy, and David. They're all here. So you guys want to come up and
come on up, guys.
accept this resolution? So these four, along with Mike Appy, they're the leaders down at Public Services, and they're the first to jump on any phone calls or any issues that came up. So appreciate all the work that they did. So
Thanks again, everybody. Good job. We appreciate that very much.
Mr. Mayor?
since those guys are a little shy, I'll say something for them. So in the day after we had the big rainstorm, we got about 80 MyVOP tickets, which I think is a record for the number that we got in a single day. And they have done a great job the last 2 weeks cleaning up all the issues around the village and also prioritizing these and making sure that they get done appropriately and making sure all the public safety items got done first. And it was very convenient that we got rid of our last resolution. Everyone left.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Okay.
Pat,
Yes.
we lost about three-quarters of
I noticed that. I mean, I don't know the timing involved with that, but I'm sure they left for a real purpose and an emergency. So, which brings us to our resolution of appreciation to the fire department in recognition of outstanding service to the community. Whereas the Village of Pinehurst Fire Department provides vital life, property, and environmental protection services to the Village of Pinehurst community and surrounding areas, and whereas on Sunday, July 6th, the Village of Pinehurst and surrounding areas experienced a once every 500 to 1,000 years weather event from Tropical Depression Chantal, and whereas this event brought hazardous conditions such as high winds and flooding, resulting in an elevated volume of emergency incidents, and whereas the fire department did not waver in providing aid and reassurance to all those affected, both within the village and within the surrounding areas. Therefore, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Pinehurst in a meeting today, the 22nd of July, that the Village of Pinehurst recognizes the following fire department employees for their exemplary service to the Village of Pinehurst community during the challenging time. I'm going to read these names. Battalion Chief Adam Coles, Battalion Chief Chris King, Captain Josh Anliker, Captain Josh Womack, Lieutenant Eric Nall, Lieutenant Jay Neal, Lieutenant Doug Cole, Lieutenant Brian Sneed, Lieutenant Matthew English, Engineer Blake Polikoff, Firefighter Ross Outen, Firefighter Brent Chapman, Firefighter Alec Jackson, Firefighter Logan Felder, Firefighter Cale Freeze, Firefighter Jared Terry, Firefighter John Threat, Firefighter Will Whitaker, Firefighter Tyler Rogers, and Fire and Safety Educator Donna Page. This resolution is passed. We appreciate all of you, and I know some of you were going to be here a few minutes ago, but I'm going to ask the chief to come on up and say a few words and chief here. Photos.
But that wasn't staged, so unfortunately, just got dispatched to a structure fire. So hopefully everything's going to be. It doesn't sound real serious, but they're on the way. But you know, this is this is part of the job. This is you know, one thing I tell all of our new firefighters when they come aboard, this isn't a job. It's a lifestyle, and each and every day they choose to serve, regardless of the time, the place, or the calling. The Pinehurst Fire Department is always here to serve the community. We're always here to serve the citizens and those that are surrounding us. And unfortunately, you know, when we have events like you see, a 500 to 1,000 year flood, is quite taxing. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's just an awesome privilege to lead people like that. And I appreciate the support of the council, Doug, everything that you do for us, and the rest of the staff, everything that y'all do for the fire department. And like I said, it's a lifestyle. We're here to serve, and we're here to be here for the community when you need us the most. And Mayor, we appreciate that recognition, and it's very humbling to have that. So thank y'all so much.
One thing I noticed on there with the list of names, this is the first time I've seen the names, is that there's one name that's omitted, and that's the chief's name. So I imagine you made the list, Chief, but I showed up on the weekend at about 5 p.m. over at the fire department, and who was managing the whole thing, sitting behind a computer, talking on the phone? It was the chief. So thank you for your respect to your fellow soldiers or firefighters. Thank you for your urgence.
Okay, all righty. Almost was like the Academy Awards for a moment up there, huh? We just find our next winner. The envelope, please. But all deserved recognition by the village, our own employees, and U.S. Kids Golf, all part of what makes the village function and makes us enjoy living here in the village of Pinehurst. Let's go to item 6 is public comments. And
Well, Shannon is coming up. I think it was unfortunate, but in many cases almost perfectly appropriate that they actually had an alarm come right before they got honored, because that is the nature of what they do. So,
okay, we have one person who signed up to provide some comments. The time to address the council is limited to 3 minutes to allow ample time for others to speak. In the event you haven't signed up but you feel like you'd like to speak, you'll be welcome after we hear from our first speaker. It looks like Charles Kildee. Go ahead, please. You can stand right there at the microphone and have your say.
Yes. I just want to say, I don't know about a 500-year flood. I don't know about a 1,000-year flood, but I know lots of builders and everybody like to say it's a 500-year flood because the roads got washed out. That's a bunch of crap. It's not that. It's poor management. I live at Midland Country Club. My wife and I bought a house there in 2005. Wasn't told that we'll go down the bottom of the hill with a flood zone. And I fixed our yard up. I spent about $11,000 in my yard. I put a sidewalk around the house. My wife was able to get around the house. I fixed the side yard. Did everything a homeowner wants to do to his home, but he worked hard all his life to buy. And then 1,000-year, 500-year flood, it don't go that way. It's rain. It's rain. God put the rain down. And I called a representative of Par Realty down to look at the damage. He come up and looked. He said, I'm going to tell you one thing. We got lawyers. We're not going to fix your yard. Is that the attitude of you up on the board? Do y'all get money from people like that tells a citizen of Pinehurst, I'm not going to fix your yard? About almost $11,000 if you get somebody in there. But when we bought our house, we were not told. When the representative said the Kramer family bought the the golf course and everything. We didn't have enough to do with it, okay? But you look on the map, number 6, the water comes down to the road. On top of the road, the top comes down. And then when they built the subdivision I'm in, Midland Road, they came in, made a road, and they put a little drain down the end. Nothing to stop the water. Nobody told us when we bought it, when we paid $2,000 to join the membership of Midland Country Club, that was in a flood zone. And I don't think the city of Pinehurst should be able, like a community, a Kramer family, is so powerful in Moore County and Pinehurst to tell somebody, we're not going to fix your yard. We talk about how beautiful Pinehurst is and all the glory here. Then we got people out there that takes people's money. They could have told me before I moved in it was a flood zone. I wouldn't have lived there. I'd have moved. Wouldn't have, well, I wouldn't have bought it. But it's up to the city of Pinehurst to let people know that you can't do things wrong 20, 25 years ago and get by with it. The day of reckoning coming. It came. I'm the only man in that little cul-de-sac. The rest of the husbands have died but one. He's 90. They don't have nobody to speak for them. Whatever the Park Realty wants to do, they do it. What would y'all do if y'all was on Ville there and somebody come up and told you, we got lawyers. We're not going to fix your yard. Y'all probably take money from the Park Realty, all of you, donations. But I'm just one man in a million. I believe in God. And I told a representative, I said, let me tell you one thing. We didn't fuss. We didn't have a disagreement. I said, you don't pay me. You're going to pay God somewhere on the line. If I do you wrong, any of you wrong, I would make amends to fix it. But this is an ongoing problem that they said 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 1,000 years. That's the way they get out of it. That's the way they get out of fixing the roads. I've been asked the city engineer, they can't do a thing about it. The county can't do a thing about it. We sat down the bottom of the hill. I had a water almost come into my house, in my garage. My neighbor did. And nobody cares about us. But we talk about how beautiful Pinehurst is, all the golf going on. The big cover is the cover-up for the people that lives here, just like us. We are seniors. We're not young people 25 years old. But I asked the city, look hard at what y'all say about how beautiful Pinehurst is and how you got companies in Pinehurst that tells people what they're not going to do it. But y'all get our money for garbage pickup, Florida protection, that's great. But I just want y'all to ask y'all, would y'all please just realize that somebody comes up and tell your family, if you died, you guys die, a man come up and tell your wife, he's not going to fix her yard.
Sir, I don't want to interrupt, but if you want to approach me after the meeting, we can talk tomorrow, and we'll see if we can.
I don't want to talk about it. I haven't talked enough. I'm up here to the city. I'm up here to you guys. Y'all the one. The pastor takes care of us as the flock. You council members take care of the flock for Pinehurst. You take care of everybody. And I just thank God I had a chance to come up here and talk. But I look at my yard and I just look and just see all that destruction. My white stones I pay so much for is down on the golf course. And the Kramer family is so nasty that they wouldn't say, yeah, we're going to help you. It does to say, we're not going to pay for you. That's all I got to say. I thank God I got to come up here and speak to y'all. For it could happen to anybody sitting in here. And it's happening in North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, is there anybody else who would care to address the council? Still have some time? No? Okay. That closes the public comments period. We'll go on to item 7. This is a resolution appointing Ed Krokulski to the Planning and Zoning Board and the Board of Adjustment. Is Ed here?
Yeah, Ed is actually unavailable. He had something already planned for this evening. But I know a few of you have met him. Alex, Planning Director, myself, and Matt Jones, the Chair of the Planning and Zoning Board, have interviewed Ed. We think he's a great fit. He's an engineer by trade, moved here a few years ago, and we think he will fill one of the roles very well, and we recommend that council approve him.
I met with him also, and I think some of my colleagues have, and he was an impressive gentleman, engineering background, and so I'm very comfortable with appointing him to the Planning and Zoning Board. Anybody else have any comments, and then we can consider the resolution?
You and the village manager.
Okay. Thank you, Barb. All righty. Any resolution?
I move to approve Resolution 25-35, appointing Mr. Ed Krogolski to the Planning and Zoning Board and Board of Adjustment, effective July 22nd, 2025, to serve at the pleasure of the council until the end of his term, July 31, 2027.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion adopted. Let's go on to item 8, new business. Doug, you want to address this?
Yeah, actually, Alex,
Oh,
Planning
Alex,
and Zoning
come on up.
Director, is here to address that.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a request for a special intensity allocation, or an SIA, and this is for a project at the corner of Foxfire and Linden Road, where the Technical Review Committee, or the TRC, has been reviewing a site plan for a 5-unit condominium development on the lot, which totals about 0.91 acres. The special intensity allocation has been reviewed in accordance with Section 8.33 of the Pinehurst Development Ordinance and with line Council Policy 1313. This is the remaining item before Technical Review Committee can approve site plan for the development. The watershed protection district that the subject property is in the WS2 within the Lumber River watershed, where the village currently has about 739 acres left to allocate for special intensity allocations. Watershed protection districts, they were enacted in 1993 by the state. It's a delegated authority to local counties and municipalities, where up to 10% of the total balance of that watershed, local governments can issue these intensity allocations for and allow up to 70% built upon area over the 12% limit that the watershed protection district carries. The subject property is zoned RMF, which carries a maximum impervious surface restriction of 60%. So if a SIA is granted, the 60% cap will rule. And of course, the proposed use as the 5-unit condominium development is consistent with the RMF zoning district. The applicant and the owner are listed in the staff report. Mr. Mike Atowski is a representative of both, and I do believe a member of his design team are present for any questions that I cannot answer.
Can you roll up the site plan itself? Can we take a look there?
I'll do it. Just a little. So I'll do my best to try to orient everyone with Doug's cursor. So again, this is a sort of a triangular shaped property at the corner, right at the split of Foxfire and Linden Road. It is currently in the village's extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction, or ETJ, not within its corporate limits, but of course, if you looked at the agenda, the next item is a consideration for a petition for voluntary annexation that the property owner has also provided, which again follows the consistency with Council Policy 1313. And you can see the gray sort of box shape there is the proposed development. Stormwater management devices are indicated in the larger basin there to the north and east of the property, as well as, I believe, a smaller basin toward the rear or the back side of the property. And this is the sort of the overall site plan. It does carry the parking and drive aisles. The other plan set that was included in the agenda item is sort of like the grading and erosion control, where you can see the existing and proposed contour to see how the site team has proposed to design stormwater management and grade the lot.
Is there a specific number of parking spots?
There is, and it's all consistent with the minimum requirement of 2 per unit.
We are not reviewing the site plan, is that correct?
That's correct. Technical Review Committee, again, has reviewed this over the course of several months and maybe 4 or 5 different revisions based on our comments. The applicant has revised the plan, and as typical, we do not get this request before council for their consideration until we are pretty comfortable with the site design, especially as it relates to the stormwater management, because the Watershed Protection District is obviously not just about what we typically think of with stormwater management as maintaining stormwater runoff on site and releasing it based on our standard, but because it is in a watershed protection district, there's also a treatment factor, which the design has incorporated as required state's best management practices.
And prior to this, was there anything on the
Vacant.
land, any buildings?
It's
or any-
currently vacant. Mhm. It is adjacent to, as you see, the La Ferre Court, which is the beginning of an existing townhome development, originally approved and development started in the mid to late 80s. And then the second phase, the newer phase, which was approved and construction began 2019 to 2021. So this is a pretty consistent land use pattern within the area.
It is zoned multifamily residential, so it's in line with what we expected and wanted in that area.
Council members, any other questions for Alex?
Alex, the land across Foxfire Road is in the ETJ as well.
Correct.
What about the land across Linden Road?
So if you kind of go to the, and we won't really have this extent, there maybe there's a better material in the next agenda item for the annexation petition. But to the north and east, kind of diagonal across Linden Road, it is contiguous with the Village of Pinehurst corporate limits, but immediately to the east and the south is ETJ. The older La Ferre development immediately to the west is in the ETJ. The newer phase of the La Ferre townhomes is in the corporate limits.
This would not be considered a satellite. I know we're not at the annexation.
This wouldn't be. And here's a great exhibit there, kind of outline. You see the
Jump across the road and not have a satellite. Is
Yep.
that right?
So by definition, it is contiguous because it is across a right-of-way. But you do see the older La Ferre is kind of a bit of a donut hole.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions at this point, Jack?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. So now we will, I guess technically we'll enter a public hearing on this topic? Or is this considered
action can be made by simple motion on the special intensity allocation.
Public hearing is on the annexation.
Yeah.
I move to approve special intensity allocation of acres, 39,640 square feet approximately, for a 5-unit multifamily development on parcel between Foxfire Road and Linden Road, further known as parcel ID 970000954.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion adopted. All righty. Now,
I move to recess the regular meeting and enter the public hearing.
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we are now in the public hearing. Any individual who'd like to come up may address us. And then regarding Mr. Ratowski and all, we can ask him some questions, or he can come forward, whatever he'd like.
Yeah, I think we can let the public speak, and as a member of the public, Mike and or his representative could talk as well.
Okay. I think I saw you get up, so please come forward, speak close to the microphone, and identify yourself and speak up.
Well, my name is Virginia Douglas. I live at 105 Linden Trail. I'm in the ETJ, and I actually put my name down to talk about that previous, I guess there isn't a public hearing for the SIA approval, is how that sounds, so I'll just make a comment, I suppose, generally about this piece of property and then as it relates to the annexation. But I am part of the ETJ. We can feel a little bit orphaned in in that area. The one thing I would say is that's a very busy corner. That is the corner that leads to Foxfire. And so I live literally just down the street, a little bit down Linden. The only reason I came really, as I saw the notice of this in the paper and looked in the portal, is that, you know, all the traffic to Foxfire goes down that street. And obviously with the change of ownership with the Foxfire Golf Course, you can probably expect more traffic. You already have a little more traffic that'll be coming right in that area before you hit this turnoff because of the new homes that were approved in Pine Wild. And if you've driven just past this, this intersection, there are a number of homes that have been placed along Linden before you turn the corner and come into our area where all of the homes are at least on 5 acres. So it's a very rural feeling with the exception of a couple of pockets. I find it very interesting that you know, kind of the reference to La Forêt, that they were built in 1980. So I think there were a lot of things that were done in this area in 1980 that aren't necessarily, you know, sort of the bigger vision. If you can see on that map that's up there, the yellow being the property, La Forêt is really shielded by anybody driving towards our area and toward the horse properties and the larger homes, larger lot areas, because that property right now has a lot of trees, and so it gives you much more of a, you're kind of entering into this rural feeling. Again, with a little bit of exception of some homes built along Linden that had been previously approved, and also the Holly Crest development. So I
Douglas?
really, oh, go ahead.
Could you tell me which way is your home on this map?
I would be coming down the map. So I pass that turnoff for the Foxfire Road anytime that I'm coming into the village or really going anywhere, unless, you know, it's interesting, Linden Trail is sort of, or Linden is sort of a unique little road in that it, you know, once you kind of end past Elliott's, everyone sort of thinks that the world ends there, right? When I describe where I live, everyone goes, well, I know where Elliott's is, but then no one knows kind of where it is from there. So, but this is, you know, as I looked at this and thought about these 2-story developments there, you know, as soon as you pass Elliott's and you come into the ETJ, it goes from 35 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour. So it picks up pretty quickly, even though there are some other buildings and things along that way. So I really just came to say that, you know, obviously you're all considering annexing this. You know, it's not mine to opine on past approvals of some of the uses of land in that area. I do know that that gives a nice buffer to some of these townhomes and some things that were built quite a few years ago. Also not mine to opine if there's a big demand for 5 additional townhomes. I think there are a number of townhomes right before you get to that area. There have been some new construction in there as well. But I guess really I would just say that I thank you for your attention and appreciate your consideration of these requests as they come in to see how they fit with the vision of kind of that more rural feeling that we've got in that special part of the Linden Road area. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you for looking on the website and going on the portal and doing your homework. I think you do know that the council has been pretty protective of the ETJ in general these last several years, and we appreciate your input. Thank you. Anything else? And does Mr. Ratowski want to come forward and tell us a little about the project?
Sure. Michael Latowski. Our request is to come into Pinehurst and out of the ETJ. There has been a lot of there's been a lot of the ETJ in the news recently, and we just, you know, we'd like to become a part of Pinehurst and kind of wipe away any of the uncertainty of what's going on in the ETJ. We are right on the line. We think it makes sense to do it. In regards to some of the concerns, we're very sensitive, not to talk about the project in request for our annexation, but we are very sensitive about the intersection. We left the entire front part of that intersection pretty much as it is, wooded. In the back, we were sensitive as to where the driveway was going to go. We placed it with meeting with the engineering, the fire department, DOT. There's a stop sign there on Foxfire Road. We did all rear entry garages to keep us to keep the view coming down Foxfire and Linden Road. there's no exposed garages from the front, and you'd have to really be coming down looking for it on Foxfire to see it. So we've screened the property all the way around. But again, we'd like to become a part of Pinehurst and get out of the ETJ. If that map were expanded, you would see that behind us there are other areas that were brought into Pinehurst, including a couple other properties that are a little bit further down the road. We think it makes sense.
Well, we're always interested in potential taxpayers. So thank you. Okay, other questions for the person? Go right ahead, Jack.
For staff and/or the applicant. Number one, first of all, I noticed on the site plan, I believe there was quite a few trees left on the perimeter, both on Linden and Foxfire. Is that correct? I thought that was a plus. That's that with those green. Okay, so these are all to remain. These are not. This is not a demolition plan, right?
That's correct. To remain, yes.
Second question, this has nothing to do with annexation, but do you know what the U.S. Post Office is going to, is this in?
We're going to have a kiosk.
Say that again?
We'll have a kiosk in the back.
No, okay, you'll have a kiosk, but what post office will service
What's
this?
the address?
Aberdeen,
What will your
West
mailing
End?
address be?
I think it's
Aberdeen?
It will be Aberdeen.
I'll take your word for it.
No, I was curious.
I don't know.
It becomes an interesting site.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Ms. Douglas, did you say what it would be? You are Aberdeen. Thank you.
Yeah, it's likely you are in the Aberdeen area. Appreciate the rear-loaded garages. That's it for now. Let me.
Okay. Barb? Dr. Morgan? No. Okay.
Oh, no, I have one other question.
Go right ahead.
I think Linden and Foxfire are both state roads. Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Has the state NCDOT indicated any interest in straightening out this intersection at some point in the future, which of course would dramatically impact this parcel?
Oh, that was not a part of any of the conversations that we had. We did get a driveway permit, but that was never mentioned.
So, yeah, Jack, I have not heard any mention about this and being any DOT project. It does actually kind of align well now as far as it does come in at a.
They do have a little barrier there that causes you to go at 90 degrees, but I was curious whether the state had any interest long-term in straightening out this intersection.
Yeah, nothing I've heard.
Or signalizing it or any way.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
I move to adjourn the public hearing and re-enter the regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have left the public hearing. We're in the regular meeting. And now we have this ordinance to consider, which is extending the corporate limits of the Village of Pinehurst, which is in essence the annexation of the property we just discussed. So,
One
questions?
question in
Go ahead.
connection with that. I noticed that if approved, the ordinance becomes effective at the end of this year. I assume that's for tax reasons?
Yes, it's best practice to have it align with the fiscal year, and it's easier for obviously our purposes too. We just obviously missed this past fiscal year.
We missed it.
Yeah.
It could have been June 30th of last year,
right.
but it isn't, and so,
Yep.
so they will not pay taxes to Pinehurst this year. They will begin paying Pinehurst taxes a year hence.
Correct.
Okay.
I guess they could volunteer, though.
Pardon me?
I guess they could volunteer to pay, right?
Yes. That's a very good,
Be holding my breath on that.
All right.
good point. Well, we look forward to next June 30th. So, go ahead.
There's no issue in a retroactive. Oh, this is for next year. Oh,
Yeah.
We're looking way ahead.
We are. Yep.
Okay, got it.
And if it makes you feel better, they won't be built. So, we're not missing out on that much taxes.
but the property itself will be annexed.
Do we not, well, there's further approvals to go through before they could begin building, yes?
Well, they'll need building permits, but
All righty. Any other discussion on this ordinance?
I move to approve ordinance 25-11, extending the corporate limits of the Village of Pinehurst for the annexation of the Foxfire and Linden Condos property, further known as parcel ID 9700954, effective June 30, 2026.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you all. We will now go to item 11, regular business. And this is the multimodal plan. Is someone going to come forward, or is
yeah,
it going to be
I'll
left
speak
here?
to this.
Go ahead.
So over the past year, myself and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee have been working on a multimodal plan, and we have come up with what we would like to recommend the council to adopt. So this plan, the goal is to have a 5-year outlook on projects that we want to be doing in the next 5 years. We have in place already a comprehensive bicycle plan and a comprehensive pedestrian plan. But this is more of a hands-on implementation document that this is what we actually plan on doing. There are a lot of projects listed on here in the plan. Not all of them will be able to be completed if we're funding all of that. What we hope to do is to, working with the SMPO, reach out and apply to be on the STIP program of the state to have some of these projects funded through the state. And a lot of those will be on state roads in the village, so I think it makes a lot of sense for those sidewalks and multimodal improvements to be made on those roads and be funded by the state. We can go through this a bunch of ways. I don't want to go into too much detail, but maybe if we run through the projects that are on there and you can ask any questions. If there's any questions about the narrative, also happy to answer any of those.
Well, I do have some questions. I consider this more of a discussion than an adoption because of the amount of money associated with it. I don't know if I think I saw, what is it, 8 million? Yeah.
So, yes, again, that we have budgeted in our budget about $460,000 that we want to put on each year for sidewalk projects.
That's done.
Yep. And then there are millions of dollars worth of projects that we are going to be asking the state to fund. What we need, though, is an approved plan to submit those projects to the state to be on their funding list. So this, if it was adopted, would be an approved plan that we could apply for those projects
And
for.
what about the CVB aspect of this?
Yeah. So there are many options to fund these. CVB would be one. There are other state grant programs for walkways or trails. We would also look at those as potential options. What we're doing here is identifying the projects we want to see completed first and prioritize those, and we will do anything we can to get funding to make those happen.
Doug, do you, if adopted tonight, and I have some reservations about that also, given this, do you view this as a commitment or as a statement of intent, if you will?
It would be more of a statement of intent.
I think when I saw the 8.3 million, I took 460,000 a year times 5 is 2.3, subtracted that out, it's still 6 million, not currently funded in our normal budgetary process. And I think since a lot of this is capital, that should dovetail with our capital projects methodology. That said, there's nothing in here something I was surprised at, but there's nothing that I'm inherently against. I do think obviously September 12th is a deadline for the current year CVB, so if there's anything in this plan where we are hoping for that, that needs to be prioritized so that we can respond in time.
Yeah. So when we have that discussion later in the work session about the CVB, and I think trails are an appropriate use for applying for that grant program. Again, what we're doing here is we prioritize the projects that we want to see done, and we need to have a list of approved projects by the council to be able to submit those to DOT to request funding for them. We understand that we only have about $2.5 million of potential local funding, but the other $6 million would either come from state funding or other grants, any other way we might be able to get these projects approved and funded for.
I would also say parenthetically that I have a good friend who regularly cycles 25 to 30 miles a day, almost every day, rain or shine. And I was talking with him about this, and he was not only personally very positive about the expansion of bicycle opportunities and so forth, he thought that there was a community of bicyclists here who would also be very much in favor. So this is in the right direction, but I just want to understand what we are committing to versus what we are, in essence, deciding that we will take a closer look at going in over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and so moving forward, any project that we want to do, we would look at it, funding it with our $500,000 appropriation that we make it through the budget each year. And if it's something more than that, we'd ask DOT to fund it. So $8 million worth of projects, we're probably funding $2.5 million of it, and we're requesting the state to fund the other $6 million.
Can you repeat those numbers again? That was interesting.
So there's roughly $8 million worth of projects. We only have budgeted $2.5 million to spend over the next 2.5 years. And there's about $6 million worth that we could ask DOT to fund.
I did have one, I guess I call it a 20,000-foot question. Looking at 1.3 overall goals.
Yep.
And without regard to whether it could ever be accomplished in 5 years or not, because this is a 5-year plan, I've not seen sort of what is the finish. If we could do everything now, if we had all the money and it could be done in a year, what is everything? Do we want to be able to ride a bicycle from number 6 to Lake Pinehurst? And how are we going to finesse 15501, 211, and Route 5, getting across those things, whether it's on a bicycle, on walking, or in a golf cart, in theory?
Yeah, so I don't think there's ever a finished version of walkways or bike paths in the village. Once every state road had a sidewalk or a bike path along it, I think we'd be getting close. There is in the pedestrian plan a map of projects that are that were proposed in 2015. So we have made small steps towards some of those projects. What we hope to do here is to clarify specific projects that we want to do moving forward, and again, have a mechanism where we can ask the DOT to fund some of them.
It might be useful going forward to try to identify a 80% completion or something like that, so we always know the direction we're heading in, even if we don't ever, even if it changes over time or we never actually get there.
Yeah, and I think this is a 5-year implementation plan. I think it gets updated every year so that we always have a 5-year outlook of what we want to be doing in the next 5 years.
Go ahead, I got some questions for you, Tom.
So my last question, ADA accessibility is mentioned in here in a couple of places. Is that a requirement, or is that something that we just view as a good idea? We do it in some of the downtown areas where the intersections are ADA compliant, I will say. But
Yeah, any new facilities would need to be ADA compliant.
new facilities,
Yes.
but not
New sidewalks, any.
sidewalk if we build it when we come to an intersection.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a couple of comments and a few questions. I did note that the additional walkways in our community survey was the #1 item that our residents were supportive of. Much further down was bicycle lanes, #6, greenways at #7, paths on village highways, #9. But additional walkways was way up there. Let me run down the few questions I have. On the bikes, 3.1 education, bike safety information, implement regular workshops. Do we make an effort with the Pinehurst Elementary School currently, or are we going to do it in the future? How's the world look like now, and what might it look like downstream?
Yeah, so they do a bicycle rodeo, and they have a walking Wednesday where either kids walk to the school or ride their bikes. So they park at Cannon Park and then ride down Woods Road to get to the school. So there are already programs in place, but the BPAC has intentions of expanding and further providing more educational and community outreach programs.
Great. On the golf cart parking, my only general comment is we probably need to add some more where we can. So I know we're keeping that in mind. If you go downtown the village on a weekend, the slots all seem to be full. So, and sometimes during the weekdays. What are the number of golf cart licenses that we've issued? I always was familiar with the number of around 1,800 or 1,900. Are we continually doing that every year? Do we have a couple of hundred a year? Do you know how that works?
I mean, we continually have new applicants. I'd have to look up to see what the actual number is. I don't know.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, when you have the number, I'd be just curious because there seems to be more and more of them, which is fine. I'm assuming there's no registration required for bicycles. Am I correct about that? Because I'm remembering as a kid, we actually used to have to register our bicycles.
Yeah, we do not register bicycles.
Good. Glad to hear that. Big government's moving away. Do we have many miles of bridle paths in the village of Pinehurst?
Bridle paths, like horses?
Yeah.
I don't think we have any that are specific to horses.
Okay.
At least that are publicly maintained.
All right. I did not know. I noticed on bicycle, there's a section 4.2, bicyclist and pedestrian crash analysis. I don't know if I've ever sort of seen that data. It's maybe published and I missed it, but that would be helpful to just, I think, supply around so we have an idea of how much is this. I mean, we have heard anecdotally, and I have actually seen a golf cart accident, but I haven't know anything else. So do we have actual data on this annually?
Yeah, so we have data that's dated, and that's one thing BPAC has talked about and requested that we update some of this information, crash data, priority intersections, things like that. So this is a work in progress that we are, these are the projects we want to do moving forward, but there are also other steps that we'll be looking at.
Okay. Okay. Harness Track, Fairborn. Currently, there are no bicycle routes leading to these locations. I guess that's just the way it is. And are we hoping to have some leading to them eventually?
Yeah, one of these projects is exactly that, is a corridor multimodal path along Highway 5 that would connect. I mean, that's like the backbone of our community, so that would include a bunch of different neighborhoods to be able to get to the Harness Track, Fairbarn area, but also up to the village core and to the clubhouse. So I think that's a very vital project that we need to be moving forward on.
Okay. The next item caught my attention was 5.3, prioritized bicycle projects. Create an 8-foot wide multi-use asphalt path along the railroad tracks from Linden Road near Pinewell to Highway 5. Where would that go? Do we know?
Yeah, so the idea there is near the Pinewild entrance on the back on the Linden Road. There's the railroad tracks that are right near there. So what we are proposing would be to work with the railroad. Also, Duke Energy has a bunch of power lines in that area, but to put a path along there all the way to Highway 5. So that would be able to provide Pinewild and people in Clarendon Gardens access to either a golf cart or bike or ped to be able to get to the village core.
Wow, that sounds like a good idea. I'm trying to imagine it, how it gets to 5 from Linden there.
Follows the railroad
Yeah, it
tracks
follows the
down.
railroad track. Yeah.
Haven.
Oh, okay, past Quail Haven. I got it.
Russell.
Yep.
Okay.
Some point drops away and
Yep, so when it gets to the trestle, it would just turn to the right, and there's an existing crossing there at the resort that we would use.
It's been a recurring theme about not having golf carts being allowed to go down Linden
Get into the
Road.
village, yeah.
So it will allow that.
That's helpful. The and now we want to establish a legal golf cart crossing over 15501 at the north entrance to Pinehurst number 6. It says this would require a 400-foot golf cart path along the west side of 15501, extending north from Spring Lake Drive to align with Spring Lake Road and facilitate safe direct crossing. How close are we to that, or how much of a debate is there about that with NCDOT or anywhere else?
Anyway, I was trying to pull it up on the map, but it's scheduled for fiscal year 26, I believe. So
that's great.
What we would like to do is we are currently working on the number 6 sidewalk project, and we're
Yes.
doing from the southern entrance up to Deerwood. What we'd like to do is complete that northern portion of the Juniper Creek loop, and when we do that, we'd like to include the golf cart crossing across 15501, and then that would allow people to use local village roads to get across to get down to the village center. So where those weird double streetlights are on 15501 is where that golf cart crossing would be.
Matt, could I jump in at
Go
this
right
place?
ahead. Yeah, I just have one more question.
I know at the beginning of 5.4, it said NCDOT has made clear that a shared path for pedestrians, bicycles, and golf carts is not permitted. Is that just along state roads? I mean, I'm not saying where else we would do it, but if we wanted to do it somewhere else, does NCDOT have anything to say about that?
It's debatable. I think we could do it on our own roads if we wanted to. There's concerns that they have with, moving vehicles and people, pedestrians, but it happens on a golf course every single day, so I am less concerned about it.
Can I ask for clarification on a term? I'm looking at page 12 with the prioritization and implementation table, and in it we have multimodal items listed. Is that the same as multi-use?
Yeah, so, right. Multimodal, the original intent would be that would be for certainly bicycles and pedestrians. If we could coordinate it so that golf carts were not a safety issue, we'd include golf carts as well.
So the one on the access from Linden Road down to Highway 5 multimodal would hopefully include golf cart, because there are no other golf cart specific projects on here.
Right, yeah. The intent was that multimodal, to the extent that we're allowed to, would include golf carts.
Is that why it's 8 foot wide? Is that
Asphalt,
Asphalt,
yes.
right.
Mhm.
Barb? Anything else?
Oh, just one other question. Are our counterparts in Southern Pines, Aberdeen, putting together this kind of plan?
I do not know exactly what they're doing, but they do know that they have to have an adopted plan in order to submit them to the state for funding. So I don't know where they stand in their process.
I think the airport road access is of interest to Southern Pines. Is that correct, Doug?
It is. So that's one that SMPO has committed to fund over a little over $100,000 towards. In that, it's in about 20 minutes. I'll recommend that we potentially apply for a grant from the CVB to also fund that project.
Okay.
What might be helpful in this conversation is if we kind of go through these projects real quickly, and I can kind of point out ones that we will intend on asking the state to fund versus the ones that we think will be funded more locally. That way you can realize that the full $8 million is not intended to be borne solely by us.
Before you go down that, I had obviously there's a section here that specifically talks about maintenance. What will be the maintenance impact when this is all through? I mean, quarterly inspections of all multimodal facilities. That's additional duties, let us say. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we knew that, additional walkways were going to be a maintenance impact. So we actually built into the budget a new buildings and grounds person. So that,
So it's a 1 FTE addition.
yeah.
Okay.
And that was, I mean, there's other reasons as well, but yes, it's a 1 FTE.
But it's an FTE and presumably material with which to make repairs as necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. My last question is on the last appendix C. I noticed how you, and it's broken out by pathway maintenance. What I noticed is that there are some that are private, and then there's some that are privately maintained. And I'm wondering, private ones, who are they, and why are they private? And the same thing with the privately maintained. How do we interact with that, and who are the responsible parties?
Yeah, so the abutting property owner would be the responsible party for maintaining those. So a lot of these are over here in the hospital, or we have these over here down by the resort. So they maintain their own sidewalks in their own campus areas.
Okay.
Okay, I think your suggestion's a good one. I would just throw out as a topic for future consideration, as we think about a safe way to get people across the major arteries that run through the village that I outlined earlier, we may want to consider at some point the concept of tunnels. Rather than you have people crossing Rattlesnake Road at 211, someone's going to run a light and hit it, or someone's going to not be paying attention on a golf cart and run into the traffic. We don't have to talk about it now, just as a
I do recall a discussion, and Dr. Morgan may remember this, it close to 3 or 4 years ago, where there was somewhat of a plan to have I'm going to call it a bridge, a ramp above from connecting Rattlesnake with Gun Club over 211. I didn't catch on, but I've seen these elsewhere where it's a long ramp and then it goes over and then it comes down on the other. So there's no need for anyone crossing there to go any way, but walk above the thing.
You see that on interstates from time to time.
So pedestrian bridges are certainly an option that we could ask DOT to consider. We'd have to have a significant traffic issue and a significant pedestrian issue. Rattlesnake and 211 is probably our most likely source because it's connecting, the school's not far from there, it's connecting a neighborhood across the street, and it's a major highway.
I remember it. Okay. That's the only one I John, did you have something
Do you want me to
I
maybe run
think-
through some of these projects? Okay, so the first one on the project is that Airport Road, a walkway along there. That's something that's already in the works that SMPO has agreed to fund some, and Southern Pines as well. So that one would probably be potentially a little local funding, but mostly other funding.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We already funded in the budget Rattlesnake Trail, a connection from the Village Place to the new library location. Juniper Creek Boulevard, finishing the rest of that loop. That would be a local project. Based on the price that we got for the project currently underway, it will be less than the amount there. And then
was that something that was put in the budget for fiscal '26, or this would be added?
So what my intent was, the $460,000 that we put in the budget would fund the rest of that. I don't know if that's quite enough, but that's the hope. And then the last part, we already talked about the crossover on number 6 over 15501 for golf carts.
Okay, so if you take the 1.7, 1.8 cost estimate number, what would you pull out as being funded by someone else other than us?
So this 420 is this year, and this 934 is going to be significantly less. And we already budgeted this 350 for the Rattlesnake Trail separately.
So Rattlesnake Trail is ours.
Yeah.
Juniper Creek is joint effort, or?
That's a local road. That would be our funding.
Us, okay. And the airport road is that's where we're looking for a lot of money from elsewhere, right?
Yep.
Okay, well that makes the 26 number of 456 a challenge then, doesn't it?
Yeah, the completing the Juniper Creek Boulevard project may not fit within the 456, but we'll see what we do. We'll finish the current project, then we'll bid out or get pricing on the rest of it.
Yeah. I noticed no, I'm sorry, it's the next one that has the most linear feet. Go ahead.
Yep, so in fiscal year 27, we have a sidewalk project. This is in the Lake neighborhood. So this would be from McKenzie Road, down Lost Tree Road to Forest Drive. So in that area, this would be a local project. This other one is a DOT requested project of almost 2 million, and that would be sidewalks along Morganton Road from Highway 5 to 15501.
Which side of Morganton, do you remember?
That has yet to be determined, and it might go back and forth a little.
Yeah, because there's golf courses on either side there at some points.
Yep.
That would be an interesting sidewalk.
No.
Yep.
No, I think it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's having driven down there.
There are definitely challenges.
Yeah.
There's swales the whole length of the road, so we would have to work through those. In fiscal year 28, the multi-use path that we talked about from Pine Wild to Highway 5 along the railroad tracks.
Let me just bump back for a minute. It dawned on me that those sidewalks along that road might be related to golf tourism a bit. Certainly for the U.S. Open, U.S. Kids, because there's a lot of people that will be funneled in there along along Morganton Road. So just keep that in mind as a possible argument.
Yeah, and certainly it connects two neighborhoods that are really quite isolated. There's no pedestrian access from CCNC or the lawn and tennis to basically anywhere else in the village. So that is one reason why when BPAC prioritized these that I think it scored well.
Even Doral Woods to an extent.
Yep, right. I think we're on fiscal year 28. So the first one there we talked about, and then the second one is more sidewalks in the Lake neighborhood. Big picture for those sidewalks is we put a walkway down Pine Vista to Burning Tree. So it kind of be following Burning Tree, Lake Forest, and get from that far west area to McKenzie Road. So most people in the Lake neighborhood could take a sidewalk on the major roads through there to get to the village center.
We should have put a sidewalk on Sugarcom while we were had the road closed. That's a dangerous.
If we thought that far ahead, yeah.
It's a dangerous curve to walk, and I've seen people walk it. It's tricky.
Doug, with respect to the multi-use asphalt path, I assume that the railroad has the same right-of-way in that area that they have along Route 5. Have they indicated any willingness to allow us to build there?
Yeah, so I've met with them, and they were open in concept. Devil's in the details, but it was initially a positive meeting.
Good.
Fiscal year 29, more sidewalks in the Lake neighborhood, and then Monticello Road from Highway 5 to Morganton Road. That's a big project, one we could ask DOT to fund. Those are actually local roads, so that might not score as well with them, but it's a possibility to ask.
Wow.
I'm not sure I understand the logic on that one. I mean, Cottages South, is it support them? Is that the idea?
Yes, right. Because
Get to the post office, but don't they have a back road to get to the post office anyway, potentially?
yeah, there are no pedestrian facilities in the Monticello area at all. So,
Oh, right.
So walking on the side roads is not an issue, but I wouldn't want to walk on Monticello Road, and so this would
No, you
allow them.
rarely see anyone walking on that road. It's just too busy.
And also the idea is that this would connect with Morganton Road on one side and with Highway 5 on the other side.
It goes back to the multimodal one.
Yep. And then the last year, 2030, some major projects. An 8-wide multi-use path under the power lines. This would actually be a local project. I think this would require a lot of coordination between a lot of property owners. That's why we put it later on. I think it's a great idea. I think it's very hard to potentially implement. And then the next project, coordinate with DOT to develop a path along Highway 5 from basically the entire length of the village, or from the southern part of the village up at least to the resort, and going from the resort north, work with the DOT to either get a multi-use path in or at least a sidewalk on that section.
They've started on the Route 5, Aberdeen to Blake, essentially. And a part of that plan was to have sidewalks on the western side within our jurisdiction, or even beyond that. Maybe even connecting the shopping center there and the bowling alley.
Yep,
area.
it does include sidewalks.
Oh, it's okay, still.
Yep. So that project will bring up a sidewalk on the west side up to Blake. And our hope would be to at least get down to Blake, so you could cross there if you needed, but potentially even go further.
It's on the other side, it's on the Trotter Hills side, is that correct?
Yeah.
So it would take it to Trotter Hills and then could run down to a potential new development on Trotter Hills, right?
Yeah, and then also if there's new development potentially on the east side in the future, we would certainly want a pathway going through there. That's specifically called out for in the small area plans for Pinehurst South as a walkway along the railroad track there. And then the very last one on here in 2030 is basically in coordination with any traffic circle changes that may happen to make sure that we get a east-west crossover over 15501. So this is specifically saying that we would go from McKinnon Road, where the airport road is, potentially where there's the proposed traffic circle, go from there around the corner and then cross over at Memorial.
You say cross over, you mean street level though, right? You don't
Yes.
mean going over.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Nothing was shown on the initial drawings that we saw, is that correct?
Right. So I think DOT would be, we got a lot to discuss with the traffic circle in the future, but whatever we get to, I think they would be open to a request to put a pedestrian facility as part of that project somehow. I don't think they wanted to gum up the inner workings of the project, but if we could have it go around it in some way, I think they would be very open to that.
So tell me again how we came up with the estimates, the values of these things.
Yeah. So we, based on current pricing, we for gravel, for asphalt, and for concrete sidewalks, and when we put in inflationary expectations in it, and we also built in both engineering costs as well as site development costs as well. So I think they're fairly accurate.
Okay. You clearly did a more scientific approach than I just sort of looked at it, but as I was scanning it, it seemed like it was enough where I would probably bet that it's going to be a little more expensive than that. So, especially when you're talking about 2029, 2030, as the prices go up on stuff. But you have a more scientific method, so we'll accept this as it is right now.
I don't have a crystal ball, so yes, it could possibly be more or less in the future. More likely more.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Other comments or questions on this topic? No.
I would also submit, to the extent I think we may actually be about to approve this, that send a copy to Lisa Mathis. She's very interested in multimodal. She's going to be our new SMPO rep, and I think she'll just find it interesting and may have some ideas for other avenues of.
I hope she can become an advocate for us.
I don't promise that, but she'll be interested.
Okay, are there any edits that need to be made or Anybody have thoughts about something that we want to footnote or change here? Or is it?
There was one very minor thing, and it's probably a typo, but somewhere, if I can find it again. There was a discussion of, in 3.1, encourage walking school bus programs. I didn't know what a walking school bus was. Other than that.
Yeah. Walking school buses when they all meet at a central location and then walk to the school together.
Ah, okay, I like that.
Sense. You know,
Have a sign that. I
They
believe
do.
have a
And those were the best days for dropping off at Pinehurst Elementary because the line was so short because everyone walked to school. So the one day a year or a week that my daughter made it to school on time.
I withdraw my comment that it's a typo, I like it. So.
Other than the couple of things you'll share with us, golf carts and all that, my only suggestion is that in section 6 on maintenance, I think it'd be worthwhile to add that we're going to need an FTE there.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate to
Yeah.
acknowledge that
We go right down to dollar figures everywhere else, and that seems like a specific point.
I concur with that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we have discussed this, and now we can. You want us to, I guess, formally adopt it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We have a motion to make this happen.
I move to adopt the Village of Pinehurst Multimodal Transportation Implementation Plan FY26 and FY30. I guess with the one addition we talked about for the FTE.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion adopted. Thank you, Doug, and obviously
So
send this on. Just put a date on it so we know.
yeah, we actually have 3 members of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee with us. So we want to thank them for their hard work, their help prioritizing these projects. I'm glad to say that we worked very well. There weren't too many arguments over what should be put forward first, but they're a great team.
Thank you. Well done. Okay. Item B under 11 of regular business, surplus village-owned properties. This sort of evolved over the last couple of months as we made our first foray into the auctioning off of a village-owned lot, and quite successful. And Doug has looked at what do we have, Doug, like 70-something village-owned properties? I think
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
believe it's 73.
Yeah.
Obviously, we use most of those.
Right, but there's a handful, or at least there's a handful to begin with that we might want to experiment with. So go ahead, Doug. This is
Yeah,
of
so
interest to me.
as you said, we had a very successful auction about a month or 2 ago. And so based on that success, we did a deep dive into village-owned properties, and these are the 6 that kind of trickled up to the top of what might be successful if we auction them off in the future. So these are not great lots to build a home on. There's significant slope on pretty much all of them, but engineers can do a lot these days, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a home builder that wants to purchase these. It could be a budding property ner that wants
Yes.
to expand their yard or something like that.
Yes.
But they are serving no purpose for us sitting there. It would be much better to get them back on the tax rolls, make them functioning properties, then they're not sitting vacant, not potentially being a blight to the neighborhood or anything like that. So I think it makes sense for us to move forward and potentially auctioning off these parcels. Would recommend if we do it, maybe do it one at a time. I think scarcity might drive up the pricing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can I ask my colleagues, is anyone familiar with any of these lots personally? I'm just trying to picture them. Doug, Jack, go ahead.
More or less, yeah. I've
Well, tell us a little bit about what you know here.
Well, I've looked at them all, and personally, and I have some concerns, particularly on a few that have significant slopes, and I'll tell you which ones they are. Calhoun Lane and the Longleaf, in particular. For example, Calhoun slopes 10 feet left front to back right. Longleaf slopes 14 feet front to back. And now the slope is one thing, and yes, these days they can engineer around that a little bit. But what I'm concerned about is by opening these up to development, and we've seen this in the past, where infill development changes the water flow and the stormwater issues in a neighborhood quite dramatically, or it can. And so I'm very concerned that by letting these go to a development status, we may be creating those particular two lots in particular. The others on Morganton, I'm less concerned with, having looked at those. The Stony Kirk, I'm very, very familiar with. I'm not sure how that's buildable in any case. But particularly those two, Calhoun and Longleaf, I'm very concerned about putting those.
And that was definitely a concern of staff. And these are the better ones, so the other ones that we didn't put on the list were even worse.
I know, that's why we own them.
Yeah, right.
In many cases.
So, I mean, if I think it may save us a problem in the future if we don't sell those. Certainly, when any development happens on any of these, we need to make sure that they have appropriate stormwater measures, both for the construction process, but also long-term, that they're not flooding out their neighbors.
I know, I understand that.
Well, let's.
And we can't control what happens. I mean, the ideal scenarios is the neighbor buys them and cleans them up and so forth and uses them in the neighborhood or for themselves. But that may or may not happen. We just don't know.
Yeah, our sale of these does not approve a home or development on it. It just transfers the rights, and then they would have to come back through the process that anyone else who wants to develop a piece of property with a home would have to go through, whether it be HPC if they're in our historic district or whether it's planning and zoning.
Yeah, I don't believe any of them are in.
Well, that's true. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, we assume no liability by selling it, but we have a kind of a moral responsibility, if you will, to make sure that when we provide a lot for development, that if in fact development occurs, we won't be creating neighborhood issues. And I'm just concerned about these. I think we just need to air that concern.
Doug, I know Alex is not here anymore, but when someone might come to us on, let's say, one of the three that are identified as significant slope, is there either by ordinance or by practice a higher standard for the issues that Jack's describing in the approval process if I come to build a house on one of these?
No, it would be the same process as any other house being built in the village. So just because it has significant slope doesn't necessarily change that. Although our standards should address stormwater anyway.
Which I think they do.
Yes.
We've had numerous discussions on this.
They may soon.
Well, one of the things that Jack mentioned on there is just to talk about a moral responsibility if we're providing lots to be developed on or to sell to be developed. I don't look at it that way. Okay, I look at it in the sense that we're providing lots if someone wishes to purchase them. If they wish to develop it, that's certainly their property rights on doing it, but they have to follow all the standards that we've established for the village, and part of that is the stormwater management. So if they wish to purchase it, for whatever reason, that's their business. And I don't want to say just because something's got a significant slope, we don't want to sell it because of the potential of a water issue if a house were to put on it. There's a lot of ifs that have to occur there. What I recommend that the village do is that, hey, there's a property that's significant slope. If you have an interest on bidding it, we're happy to take it off our books. And then we'll go through the process of if they decide they want to develop it, we use our same process to evaluate it and ensure that it meets all the criteria.
I fully understand that, and I agree with you to a great extent. I just want to make sure we realize that some of these have a high probability of causing some issues relative to their neighbors. I mean, just if you look at them carefully.
And if they decide to develop them, because I think a lot of these are going to be looked at, it's just not worth
Right.
the cost in doing it. The property values aren't like, Washington DC here, where every parcel is being developed on here.
And I could see someone who, if all of a sudden that lot is put out there and they live adjoining to the lot, they may want to jump into it because they don't want development next to it.
We ended up.
I agree with that totally.
I mean, I think that's part of how the market would react to that.
That's true. No, I'm not arguing we shouldn't do it. Don't get me wrong. Some of these lots we own because, for a number of reasons, in some cases, the owner decided that it was undevelopable, if there is such a word, and particularly unbuildable because of our then current regulations, which required certain square footage for property. Houses had to have so many square foot. Now that has been taken away from us by the legislature. So any size dwelling could be pretty much placed on these lots. So they are more developable now than they were in the past because of the loosening of restrictions on some of the development.
But we do now have some setback rules and
We have
street
setbacks,
rules
right,
and
but
height limits. Yeah.
Jack, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was referenced here in the note that, the covenants related to oil, gas, mineral rights and limitations on development, but that square footage has gone away, yes.
And those covenants, in fact, some of the these are mostly diamond head lots. Those were diamond head covenants, minimum square footage and so forth.
So any infill lot that's developed in the town, we have an issue with water that no longer is being absorbed and it's going somewhere else. And so
We have to address it.
potentially adding 3 more to that 1,000
Well,
that are still out
Your,
there.
your recommendation is that we proceed with these, but do it one property at a time.
Yep.
And I'm comfortable with that, and we'll see what happens.
As am I. I agree with that.
The marketplace is going to look. We all can remember the first piece of property, which the results sort of shocked us.
Not that we have to be in a hurry. I don't understand why there would be a particular problem if we put both of the Morganton lots up at the same time. They're not that
I don't have
close
a
to far apart from one
I don't-
another.
yeah.
They don't have the issues that we're just talking about some of these other ones. I wouldn't see why we could. There's a scarcity. There is a market demand for these things, and I don't think 1 or 2 is going to scare.
Yeah,
We're
no,
not
I think
flooding the market here with 20 lots.
2 at a time is not unreasonable.
That work for you, Doug?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Example, both the Morganton
Easier
lots.
for me, yeah.
I mean, both Morganton lots are very buildable, and you see the type of building that's going on in Morganton. It comes up overnight almost, as soon as the lot's available. So we'll see.
Okay. So I think you have a green light.
Or the Stony Kirk, you'd be happy to see that.
Is that in Pinewald?
Pardon me?
Is that in Pinewald, the Stony Kirk one?
Correct, yeah. I mean, Mile HO would be happy to have
Okay.
Yeah, that one in particular, it's like there's a pond on one side and a pond on the other side, and this is how you get in between them. So
yeah, it's a challenging lot, and the lot next door was clear cut and leveled by bulldozer, and it was under some issues.
Is that the one where there's near the cemetery?
It's
No,
not the
no.
cemetery
Oh, no.
lot. No,
Just
no.
trying to, I remember that last discussion.
Doug, you don't need any further direction.
nope. So we will start the process, and we just recently went through it, so you're kind of aware, but we'll.
Okay. And please do announce it appropriately on the website and all. I mean, I think this is a good sound sort of business decision of taking some surplus properties we have and seeing if people want to help us put them on the tax rolls. And our one experience so far has been a good one. So go for it, Doug.
Yeah, a good choice, thank you. So we only have 6 identified to date, is that correct?
Yes, these are what we consider most developable and least likely that we will ever need them as for a village purpose.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any particular use for any of these. I mean, if they had been an access way that we would potentially use for a path or something like that, it'd be different, but
Right.
none of these.
All right, now we're on to other business. I have one thing that I'd like to mention. I should have mentioned it at the beginning. It was more appropriate, but I found my note. By chance, just the other day, I went on the website and was looking to try to find something, and I was a little stumped, so I sought some advice from Kristen, and she mentioned just go to a thing called the Document Center, which I have never been to before on our website. Maybe some of you have. But the Document Center had everything sort of organized in a very easy way to find ordinances, resolutions, and everything else you wanted. So the reason I want to mention it is to those of you who are here and those of you who may be listening, if you get frustrated because you're looking for something on the Pinehurst website, go to the Document Center and up will come probably the answer to whatever question it is you may have. So I share that with my colleagues and the public. I was impressed with it.
So, Mr. Mayor, before we get on to other business, I think we were going to do the minutes right before
Yes.
other business.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we're going to do it right before. I thought we were going to include it with it. Okay. This issue came up regarding the minutes from the July 8th regular meeting. There were questions raised about how the wording of the minutes as they appeared in there initially, and there has been some exchange of possible ways to change them to make them more reflective of what was discussed and how it would be presented in the form of its minutes. So I'm open to how to discuss this. The first thing I was going to do was read what the original minute looked like, and then possibly offer an alternative, one that I've mentioned in emails with my colleagues. If someone has another way they'd like to pursue this, I'm open to that.
I don't have a problem with that, but I for a variety of reasons, came late to the email exchange and opted not to jump into that because I didn't think it could solve by email. I spent the better part of 30 years in my employment in an industry where there are substantial process and regulations surrounding that. An example, if I was going to go make a presentation to a public body, my presentation material had to be approved in advance by the compliance department. And there actually were regulations about what you can and can't say. It was very strict and very well defined. If there's one thing I think the five of us could agree on, we do not have such a process here at the moment. Whether we should or not is a reasonable question. And so my only objection to the proposed revision is the use of the word process, because we don't have a process that's been approved, so no one could follow that process even if they wanted to. I have no problem in the future debating whether we should have a process. That's a different question. But with respect to approving the minutes and approving this specific one, I would probably just put a period after outlets and I would end it at that point, because understanding, Jeff, the concern that you raised, there is no process at the moment, so we couldn't possibly have been discussing a process, and no one made a formal proposal that there be one.
So as currently proposed, I have it highlighted on the screen. So that's what the version was that is up for potential revision.
Well, this highlighted section creates a process.
This would be a process, but no one proposed that it become the process. We didn't vote on it. There was no motion.
No, and I agree with that. I think we all agree from that discussion. Someone brought up a concern about it. We didn't come up with a process or any other way, whether or not someone can or cannot do it. So I don't necessarily think this is saying that they have to get it approved by everyone. I think you're saying we discussed that.
Right.
All we did was discuss it. We didn't come up to a resolution or any final determination.
The purpose of the minutes is simply to reflect the discussion that occurred. It's not, there was no vote on anything else like that. And I have no problem with what you just stated on the ending it with a period after outlets. Okay? It basically states what occurred, and that's fine. Okay? The intent of bringing that up is not going to be captured in the minutes.
Right.
That's on there. And
The minutes are
discussion
not a
is the discussion.
transcript,
If
they're
someone
an
wishes
outline.
to dive into it, they're welcome to go back and watch the video, and they can see the whole thing, get their perceptions of it.
Agree.
Okay?
Agreed.
But as for minutes, I think we beat this horse as about hard as we can beat it. And to put a period after outlets, I have no problem. Let's move on from there.
Okay, so to read what it sounds like we're agreeing to is, council discuss the submission of statements or articles by council members, both past and present, to media outlets. Period.
Period.
We would strike the comma after, oh no, we'd leave the comma after council members, we'd strike it after present, and put a period after outlets.
Past and present to media outlets, period, end of statement.
Yeah.
I move to approve the July 8, 2025 regular meeting minutes with the above proposed revision amended to end following outlets, period.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion is adopted. Issue's closed. We now, I encourage someone to make a motion to adjourn before we go to.
One more item under other business.
Oh,
if I
I'm
can.
sorry. I'm rushing for other reasons, but go ahead.
No, it's okay. The sir that was in here talking earlier about Midland Country Club, that
Yes.
neighborhood.
Is that us?
It is us, but they're private roads, and I don't know who we talked to, and
I don't know either.
but if I'll try to reach out to him. I'm not sure what his name was, but hopefully we got it recorded.
It's Charles Childress. I wrote that down.
Okay. But they're private roads, which may be the reason why someone told them it's not our problem.
Good homework. I wondered. I wondered.
On a road that we, didn't we last year accept one of the?
Accepted
Had talked
something.
about it.
I don't think we did. I don't
We
think
did
they were up
talk
to-
about it.
We're going to require them to bring it up to our standard.
Yeah.
That was a debate.
They were not up to our standards yet.
All right. Any other business that people would like to? One thing, the newsletter that went out was a good newsletter, and it mentioned the golf cart safety issue, which I had made a suggestion of, and I got a call from the two people who came to me about golf cart safety because they had been in a serious accident. So it works. People are reading that. My anecdotal proof. All right. On that, yes, I'll take a
In
motion.
the regular meeting?
All right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's take about a 10-minute break, and we can come back. We have two significant topics, CVB and the library construction bids. Thank you.